Hello, and welcome to the annual meeting of shareholders of MI Homes. During the meeting, we'll have a question and answer session. You can submit questions or comments at any time by clicking on the message icon. It is now my pleasure to turn today's meeting over to Robert H. Schottenstein, Chairman, Chief Executive Officer, and President of MI Homes. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the 2026 annual meeting of the shareholders of MI Homes. My name is Bob Schottenstein, and I'm the President, Chief Executive Officer, and Chairman of the Board of Directors. We are holding this year's annual meeting in a virtual-only format. I would now like to take a moment to introduce the directors of the company who are present electronically for today's meeting. Bill Krieg, who is also an Executive Vice President and our Chief Financial Officer, Michael Glimcher, Lisa Ingram, Nancy Kramer, Bruce Saul, Norman Traeger, who is retiring from the board upon the expiration of his term at this annual meeting, Kumi Walker, and Gene Smith. Gene has been nominated for election to the board to fill the vacancy created by Mr. Traeger's retirement. If the meeting will now come to order, I would like to ask Susan Crony, our Chief Legal Officer and Secretary, who will also act as Secretary of this meeting and run the formal part of this meeting, to report on the notice for this meeting. Susan.
Thank you, Bob, and good morning, everyone. First, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to familiarize yourself with the rules of conduct for this annual meeting, which are posted on the meeting center screen. On April 10th, 2026, written notice of this meeting, our annual report, a proxy statement, and a proxy card were mailed to all shareholders of record as of the close of business on March 16th, 2026, the record date for this meeting. The tabulation of today's votes will be conducted by Tammy Marshall of Computershare, the company's registrar and transfer agent, who will act as Inspector of Elections for this annual meeting. In addition to counting the votes, Ms. Marshall will also determine the number of votes which are present in person or by proxy. Ms. Marshall has made available on the meeting center screen a list of shareholders of record certified as of the record date. This list will remain open for inspection by shareholders until the close of the meeting. A copy of the proxy statement and annual report are also available on the meeting center screen. If you joined this virtual meeting as a shareholder and you have already submitted a proxy, you do not need to vote during the meeting. If, however, you have joined the meeting as a shareholder and wish to vote during the meeting, you may do so by clicking on the Cast Your Vote link that is located on the left side of the meeting center screen and vote any time before we declare the polls closed. The polls are now open, and we will close the polls immediately following the consideration of the last matter to be voted upon at this meeting. I now ask Ms. Marshall to report on the number of votes entitled to be cast at this meeting.
Thank you, Susan. As of the record date, there were 25,590,109 common shares outstanding and votes eligible to be cast at this annual meeting. Of such amount, 23,332,353 shares are present in person or by properly executed proxy. As a result, a quorum exists for this meeting.
Thank you. There are three matters to be considered at this annual meeting. First, the election of 3 directors for terms expiring in 2029. Second, an advisory resolution to approve the compensation of the company's named executive officer, known as Say on Pay. And third, a proposal to ratify the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's accounting firm for 2026. Please note that shareholders will have the opportunity to ask questions regarding each matter being voted upon at this meeting when such matter is addressed. In addition, shareholders will have the opportunity to ask general questions about the company following the formal part of this annual meeting. To ask a question, shareholders should click on the dialogue icon in the upper right corner of the meeting center screen. With respect to the first matter, the 3 nominees for election as directors are Philip G. Krieg, Eugene D. Smith, and Bruce A. Saul. Subject to our majority voting policy described in the proxy statement, a plurality of the votes of the outstanding common shares is required to elect each nominee. May I have a motion with respect to the election of directors?
My name is Anne Marie Hunker, and I am a shareholder of the company.
I move for the adoption of the following resolution. Resolved that Philip G. Creek, Eugene D. Smith, and Bruce A. Stahl be elected to serve as directors of MI Homes until the 2029 annual meeting of shareholders and until their successors are duly elected and qualified or until their earlier resignation, removal from office, or death.
My name is Scott Turner, and I'm a shareholder of the company. I second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this matter? We will now turn to the second matter, which is the approval on an advisory basis of the compensation of the company's named executive officer. The affirmative vote of a majority of the outstanding common shares is required to approve this proposal. May I have a motion with respect to the matter?
I move for the adoption of the following resolution. Resolved that the shareholders approve on an advisory basis the compensation of the company's named executive officers as disclosed in the proxy statement.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this matter? We will now turn to the third matter, which is the ratification of the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's accounting firm for 2022. The affirmative vote of a majority of the outstanding common shares is required to ratify the appointment. May I have a motion with respect to this matter?
I move for the adoption of the following resolution. Resolved that the appointment of Deloitte & Touche as MI Homes accounting firm for 2026 is ratified on behalf of the company.
I second that motion.
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding this matter? At this time, I now ask those shareholders who intend to vote during the meeting and have not already done so to complete the submission of their votes on the meeting center screen. At this time, I declare the polls closed. Ms. Marshall, will you please report?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Secretary and Mr. Chairman. I hereby report that Philip G. Creek, Eugene D. Smith, and Bruce A. Stahl have been elected to the company's board of directors. 2, the compensation of the company's named executive officers has been approved by the shareholders. And 3, the ratification and appointment of Deloitte & Touche as the company's accounting firm for the 2026 has been appointed.
Thank you, Ms. Marshall. The certificate of the Inspector of Elections will be included in the records of the meeting. The formal part of this meeting is concluded, and we will now answer appropriate general questions submitted by our shareholders, if any. If there are no questions, the meeting is adjourned.
This concludes the meeting. You may now disconnect.